Salute, salute, salute. Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody's having a blessed hump day. And I want to thank everybody for coming through, for hitting that like button, those that shared me out, and for all those that are in the chat and in the bushes. Thank you so much. Today, I dropped the links myself for quite a few content creators. And also, it's not, if I forgot you, I apologize, but just let a moderator know and they can drop your links for you today. And if you are a mod, drop your links. Let's get those sub counts up. Let's get everybody to 1K. And salute to OGK Pretty Problem Nisha. Salute to you for hitting your 1K. I'm so proud of you. She's on her way to monetization as well. So we want to give big salutes and congratulations to OGK Pretty Problem Nisha. Let me do my salutes. Salute Pretty Gang Lexus. Thank you for coming through today. I appreciate you. Sagius was here. Salute Max Boogie. Thank you for coming through. Loving your journey with London. Thank you so much, sis, for coming through. It's Toya, baby. Thank you for coming through, sis. Linda Hillen, hey sister, thank you for coming through. Julia's Dentures Journey, thank you so much for coming through. Lady K, always good vibes. Thank you, sister, for coming through. Astute Queen Bee Thoughts, thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate you. Salute to the TIARA LATRESE show. Salute. Arissa Bay, my love. Salute, salute, salute. Shank Rock, thank you for coming through, love. Thank you. Jediah, thank you. Jedediah, thank you so much for coming through. Thank you. Sonia, salute. Thank you for coming through, love. Hey, Courtney, salute, love, salute. And if you are a moderator or you need your links dropped, please let a moderator know because we want to get to this great interview with the TIARA LATRESE show. I did my shout outs. But before I get started with TIARA, which is behind the scenes, sorry about that, TIARA. Let me add TIARA. Hey, TIARA. Salute, you look beautiful.
Thank you. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're so welcome. Real quick, TIARA, let's put some prayer hands in the chat for Tina Turner's family. She passed away, and we all know Tina done did some wonders for all of us and paved the way for many Black women. So put some prayer hands up and send some love tonight up to her family. Hey, Lalizi, my love, and Chrissy TV, thank you guys for pulling up today. Thank you guys. TIARA, thank you so much for gracing my panel. It is always a pleasure to have someone as bright and knowledgeable as you on my panel. And
thank you. I appreciate you for extending the invite to me. This is much appreciated.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, TIARA. This means everything today. And you're not from the Mo3 sector or anything like that. Are you from a sector, TIARA?
No. So I was originally in what we would call the T sector. That's where I started. That's where I began. I really don't know what sector I'm in right now because my content is kind of shifting over. So I'm just being an alien. That's all I'm doing right now.
Yes, yes. So when you say you're just being an alien, I know that that's the emoji that you throw up. Is there a meaning behind, the alien emoji?
Yes. All my life, I felt different. I didn't feel like I was like everybody else. So I never knew how to put that into words or to make it fit. So early on in my childhood, it was more like me and my mom would watch a lot of science fiction shows, and that would really captivate my interest. To this day, it still does. So I was like, you know what? I like aliens. They're different. They're unique. They stand out. So yeah, I just said, hey, I'm an alien. We're just going to run with that.
Absolutely. I definitely understand because I was definitely into a lot of sci-fi growing up, and we'll get to that another time because I see what you're into and I love it. I love everything. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is TIARA LATRESE?
Well, I find it funny you asked that because if you ask me from what I used to think I was compared to now, it's completely different. So who I am at this stage of the game, first things first, I'm a daughter. Secondly, I'm a mother. Third, after that, I'm creating new lanes for myself. So in a nutshell, I just have to say who I am as a person. Right now, I'm very much devoted to learning more about myself, learning more about people, learning about what things make us different, how we can really sink into different levels of understanding. I'm still very much learning myself in this process, but I have come a long way. I appreciate my growth and my self-reflection. So honestly, right now I'm living, I feel blessed, and I'm just going to utilize my talents to do what it can do and push me further. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm born and raised in New York. So shout out to my city. Shout out to New York. Born and raised. I ain't never left here. Ventured out, yes, but moved, no. I've been here all my life. I have roots in Queens and Brooklyn. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's it like living in New York? It's such, it's the apple.
Yeah, it's the apple. All right. Sometimes that apple's rotten. But it is okay. On the bright side, there's a lot of culture here. Okay, like depending on what side of New York you go to, like if you're in Queens, you're known for like our parks, and there's different areas in Queens where it's like a bunch of varieties of different cultures. If you're in Brooklyn, that's like where the music and the festivals are. If you're in the Bronx, you've got the now, I'm going to tell y'all something. I don't really go to the Bronx like that. Shout out to y'all, though. I love you, but I ain't never really been over there. But they're a different cup of tea. Harlem is, again, that's the city part. A lot of culture there. A lot of historical figures have come from there. So now the negative side is there is a lot of crime here. Okay. I don't like the summers here all that much because this can be extremely violent. They need to do something about the rats. They need to do something about it. But overall, I like it here. My family's born and raised here. So, eventually I would like to expand and venture out a little bit more, but this is home.
Yeah. Do you utilize much? Because I would think that being a content creator in New York City brings so much more than a country girl like me from Kentucky, where too much doesn't go on. But the Kentucky Derby, yes, we have events, but we don't have the rappers where some of the greatest performers originated from. And we got Home Alone, with Macaulay Culkin, one of the biggest, still the most popular movie around the world, there in New York. So do you utilize that, or would you utilize that in the future to get just to do some shorts or do something with that?
I mean, my plan for the summer, honestly, as far as me, like for people that know me personally, yes, mini Chicago and the Bronx, you absolutely right. Okay, talk about it. Honestly, when it comes to like sightseeing and stuff, I like to be where food is. So we have a festival here called Smorgasbord, where they have like different food from different cultures and restaurants and stuff. So I like to go to things like that. I've never really done the concerts. However, I did used to work at two stadiums. I used to work at Citi Field, which is Met Stadium. And I also worked temporarily at Yankee Stadium, which is, home of the Yankees. But and then I'm also very close to Barclays Center. So there's a lot of different things depending on where the good food is. That's where my sightseeing will be in the summertime going into the fall. So yes, y'all will see some stuff. Okay, I promise. I'll show y'all some things.
That's good. I'm glad I don't live in New York because Shank would have me everywhere trying to do some switching lanes. And, I'd be a quitter for sure. Then you know what I'm saying. They said one of my Home Alone movies. Home Alone was one of my favorite movies. Yes,
mine too.
Okay, so Tiara, what brought you to YouTube?
Okay, so in 2018. I started a podcast, right? And that was before I even considered doing YouTube. Like people were saying I should do it, but I was like, no, I don't want to go on YouTube. You got to do this, that, and the third. So my comfort zone started out in the podcast game. So I used to have a podcast called Alien Gang Podcast, Alien Girl from Earth. I changed it a few times, but originally it was dedicated to me talking about coping with the loss of my mother. And once it transitioned from there, I started meeting a lot of different people, like a lot of people that wanted me to endorse them and interview them, like independent artists and clothing brand ambassadors. So they were like, we want to be interviewed. And then it went into from there to utilizing talking about like celebrity topics and trending news topics. And it kind of took a break from that. Then fast forward to about the year 2019, somewhere in that ballpark, something happened where some very interesting people were responsible for taking my show down. And that's okay, because I knew that I talked about a lot of sensitive subjects, especially surrounding like police brutality, racism, things like that. So I knew at some point that, they may try to get me down. So when that happened, I already had amassed about 10,000 streams. And that was like my record, and it was getting really popular. But then when that happened and they removed my RSS feed and did all that stuff, I'm like, okay, like I still want to do the podcast, but now I'm like, you know what? Let me venture into a different avenue. So that's when I came on YouTube. I say around early 2020, when I was still podcasting and venturing over into YouTube. So from there, that's how I ended up on this platform. So yeah, that's how it happened.
Okay. So during that time of you transitioning to different topics, like you said you came on due to the loss of your mother, and a lot of us are dealing with that and have dealt with that this Mother's Day. And it was such a big, it was big for me to do that Mother's Day live, because I knew it was so many of my fellow friends on YouTube losing their mothers. And I'm still not over my part, over my, I'm still healing and trying to heal, and don't know where, know where I need to go to get the stages to heal, to start my healing process. I haven't took those initiatives. So, all of that is bringing back what I did. So I tuned into you that day, and you inspired that live, because when I tuned into you, you was crying and you was telling your mother, how proud she is of how you overcame everything, and you made a difference, and a proud grandmother she was gonna be, and she should be, and all of it. It was so touching. It was so touching.
Yes.
And to see to deal with that. And that's the thing, because when you're on YouTube, you a whole different person, even though you are who you are, but you have to be a whole different person. Like you said, certain topics you was touching on, like topics we need, conversations we cannot have those due to our channels being struck. So did that kind of, why you started doing the celebrity news, did it just make you change the direction of your channel?
Well, doing celebrity news was something for me that was really easy, because when I was younger, like the one thing that my family always knew was that I had a voice and I was going to do something with it. Whether that was going to be doing radio, whether that was going to be anything that I set my mind to, we just knew it was going to be something surrounding me using my voice. So when I was younger, my dad, you remember back in the day, we had the boom boxes and you could like record talking to yourself and act like you was. So I would be listening to Hot 97. That was my favorite radio station based here in New York. And, they would play their music. But when it got to the part where like the DJs and everything would start talking, I would talk over them. So I was doing like my own radio show at home. So we would play it back and like, oh my, like you, like watch when you get older. I'm like, okay. And when you're young, you're not realizing that you're kind of manifesting that for yourself. I didn't realize that, but I always loved talking. So when it came to the celebrity news stuff, it was like, okay, this is what's trending. This is what's popping. Like everybody wants to hear about what's going on with their favorite celebrity, what drama's going on. But then, especially within the past year, I got to this point where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to just keep doing that. Like, I feel like there's more to me. And when I started getting deeper into like my spiritual journey and learning more about myself, I'm like, people could really learn something from me, and I can learn from other people. And that's not something that I was always receptive to. But when I realized I started doing certain episodes surrounding like mental health, spirituality, coping with grief. Like, granted, the numbers may have been smaller, but I felt important because people understood where I was coming from. So then that's when I said, you know what, I'm going to do a whole revamp and I'm going to take my steps. So even though my main channel, is still in the process of growing and everything like that, I had a backup channel and I transitioned that over from being the part 2 of my main channel over to what I was doing as far as a weekly segment, which is called Dose of Awakening. So I said, you know what, let's just make this an actual podcast. Like, let's navigate from the celebrity news and all that stuff. Like, let's really do something that's meaningful and powerful. So when I reapplied myself to doing that, I felt more gratitude. I felt thankful that people were listening. And now that it's, for me, the meaningful direction of explaining my story and the things I've been through is something that's even a part of my healing journey. I'm just bringing y'all along the ride with me. So, yeah.
I like that. I love that. So being a melanated sister, speaking on positive topics, do you feel that you got the proper support from your melanated people?
I have the right support from who's supposed to be around. And the reason I say that is because, granted, there is a great amount of humility that I have when I see my melanated people pulling up in my chat and I know who they are. But ultimately, to me, it not only comes from the sense of like wanting my people to be present, but I want people who relate to me and understand where my journey is going to be able to tap in with me more. So whoever that ends up being, that could be Black, white, Spanish, whoever, like, I want whoever is going to understand the journey that I'm on to be a part of that ride. But I do have, and I appreciate all my melanated brothers and sisters that pull up. I love y'all all because we chop it up. Like, sometimes we cut up, sometimes we get real deep with it. But for the people that I have around me, I know eventually in time that will grow and, more people will find out about who I am. But for who I have in my corner right now, I'm appreciative of that. Like my girl Julia, like listen, that's my Spanish homegirl, okay? Like we are, like, that's like my sister because we talk all the time, and she really came into my life where I really was going through this transition. I'm like, I want to do more. I want to feel like I'm making an impact. Like, I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable. But the thing that I want people to understand is that when you become vulnerable at some point and you let people in just a little bit, that in some way liberates you. And I didn't never understand that till, recent days. So honestly, I love my people. I know sometimes we can be very critical and judgmental of each other, but ultimately when you find that core of people who really want to see you win, they will gravitate to you. And that's all that I can do is just appreciate it.
That's what's up. I love that. So coming into the YouTube, you said 2018, that's when you took on the alien persona. Did you struggle with the direction of which way to go after you was getting so much backlash for the topics that you was talking about? Do it make you sit back and go, okay, I can't talk about this because they'll strike me, or people's gonna strike me because I'm touching on some very touchy topics, and now where do I go from it? What do you talk about? So did you struggle with the direction of your show?
Absolutely, until I started doing research. And here's the thing that I'm gonna tell y'all, especially for those y'all that are like building your channels up. Like these are gonna be some real key points that I make. One, be very mindful of the words you use on your platform. Okay, like the most you can do, especially when it comes to sensitive topics, is be mindful of certain things called trigger words, because these words are the things that will either make it to where, so if you're a monetized channel, if you use certain words, they will demonetize your video. So for example, I won't name the words, but anything that surrounds, assault or violence or anything like that, like, you will either get limited monetization or they will not monetize it at all. Okay, so there's actually a website that you can go on to look up these words to make sure you're not using them, because it will automatically send a signal to the people in the sky that's watching us. Be like, she used that word. How many times she used that word? Oh no, we're not gonna let her get paid for that. Oh, she's talking about this. No, we're not going to get. But see, now I'm in the point where it's like I now pick and choose what content I want to monetize and what I don't. If I feel there's no other way for me to illustrate my point, and I have to actually say the word or play certain content so people can understand the seriousness of it, I won't even bother turning on the dollar mark. Okay, that at that point is when people come and support and be like, I'm gonna send you a donation, a cash app, whatever. I appreciate those things. But there are just certain things I know I will not monetize because I know they're not going to. So now it's just figuring out. Because let me tell you something, I have gotten struck before. Okay. And those strikes, they will listen. They will say, oh, you can't post for 7 days. You can't go live for 7 days. You can't post on your community tab for 7 days. Now they do start you off with a warning. But if you do it again, they're like, oh no, 7 days. And if you get past that first one, you get another one, then it's about 2 weeks. If you get struck after again, it's 30 days. And if you do it again, it's over. You're losing your channel. So you can't go past 3 strikes. So I now know how to play it safe because I've done the research. And trust and believe, if you do the research and put the time into it, you will learn. Even when it comes to like copyrighted material, like music, like now YouTube has to where certain songs you use, you can share revenue with them. But if you use a song that's like completely not allowed to be used outside of the original artist or the creator that's made it, then yeah, you're going to get a claim and you won't be able to monetize it at all. But sometimes with me, it's like maybe the song I want to play is something that's copyrighted. So again, I won't put the dollar sign on it, but it may fit what I need to express. So it's just, okay, monetize this, don't monetize that. Talk about this. I'm going to talk about whatever comes to my mind. I just know when to not press the button.
Right. And I'm glad that you said that, Tiara. You spoke on certain words because the Rock Squad, Shank was doing some commentary. This is still about Tiara, but Shank was doing some commentary and on talking about transmissions. And they couldn't understand why he kept saying transmission. They was like, just call it what it is. Just call it what it is. And he was saying, like, trying to explain to the people, y'all not content creators. Y'all just subs. So when you become a content creator, it's risk to things. We can't have a voice basically was what he was saying. And now that you explained it, for those upcoming content creators or people that are content creators, like she just said, they do give you warnings, but it is strikes. And, who has time to keep building up channels, start back over, something get taken away from you. Because like you said, that's bad when you got to take the dollar sign off because you come to YouTube spending your day, your time trying to bring information to everybody. And they want to shut you up, and that's a way of making you be quiet because they're like, you want money or this, but you chose that you rather get your word and your message across. And I love that about you, Tiara.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna do when this is over. I'm gonna DM you the website with the trigger words, just in case you want to use it for yourself or pass it on as a resource to anybody else. But yeah, there's thousands, y'all. There's thousands of trigger words. I'm like, okay, I'm thinking it's like maybe a good no, it's thousands of trigger words. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, wow.
Research that, but I'll send it to you so if you want to use it to pass it on so people don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah, Bron said, yeah, I always code my words in my titles. So you have to do this. It affects the titles too?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why, like, for example, I'll give you a thing. Like, so, if you're talking about someone that lost their life, right? You can't use the word DEA, the rest of it. You have to say unalived. Because if you say the word, or the M word, they will indeed say that your monetization is limited, or they won't let you monetize it at all, or they will limit your visibility to audiences 18 plus. It'll say it's for mature audiences, meaning that everyone will not be able to see your content. They will really regulate. Okay, like they regulate, which is why I'm like, yes, Miss Sonia, thousands of words. Mm-hmm.
So do you think with the way the world is going, do you think that is such a bad thing with them putting the videos over 18 and older, or do you think a message is a message? You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the age, we all need to hear it, or do you just think it's okay to restrict certain videos to that because of what we're putting, the messages we're putting out there, and how we talk about things.
Well, I'll put it to you like this. I am a person, so me being a parent, right? I feel that it's the parent's responsibility to make sure that your children are watching programs, streams, videos that are to enlighten them, but also educate them. Now, of course, you have certain members of the youth who can't handle certain visuals or are having a tough time taking in certain realities. So it's really about the conversations that you have, especially at home with your children. So like me and my child, he knows about, social injustice. He knew all about George Floyd. He knew about Shanquella. He knows about Ervo Otieno. He knows about Tyree Nichols. He knew about Trayvon Martin, because we have those open conversations, and they should be aware of these things, because as they grow older, they need to know that, besides what you learn as a child and the innocence and the beauty of being a child, as they progress and go older, they're going to need to know these things so they know how to prepare themselves in the real world. Life is not cartoons and cereal on a Saturday. That's just the joyful part of being innocent. But ultimately, far as the regulation part and what they do, I mean, there are certain times where I feel if the information is not graphic and it's literally talking about the same things that news channels get paid for, that's the thing that bothers me. So if a news outlet puts a story out on YouTube and they have a YouTube channel, they're going to get paid for using the words that they say I can't use. So I question, okay, because they're a quote unquote registered news source, they can use it. But as a viewer and a content creator, and I'm seeing this very same thing go on, I'm going to get in trouble. That's why I don't think it's fair, because their stuff's not being limited to audiences 18 and up. Anyone can watch the news. But because I'm a creator and I'm not a quote unquote news source, they're going to say, oh, no, you can't do that. You can't say. So I really feel like it's some censoring going on. But I also think, and I'm going to not go too much into this, I do think it's selective censoring, because I've seen people get away with things way worse than what I've done and still have channels and not get strikes. I'm giving y'all awareness and touching on things that actually matter. And I might potentially get but I get it. And that's why I found, different avenues to put different pieces of content. So I'm also learning those avenues as well. So I'm not just learning YouTube. I'm learning about all different kinds of streaming platforms, podcasting, other platforms similar to YouTube. Sometimes you may find out that this platform, can be a fit for some content, but not a fit for everything. And it's just about finding where you're going to navigate and place those pieces. So yeah. I'm still learning, but do I agree with everything they do? No, I don't.
And TIARA, so what you saying that, I just want to touch on that for a second. How you was just talking about how you're pushing out positivity and knowledgeable information, and you're getting struck, and there's channels that are doing way worse things that, aren't getting struck. So, with the selective, picking, do you think that, it's almost like the outside of the app, how we get the bad end of the stick because we're against each other, and that's how they want it to be. We're not allowed to push positive content out. They want us to talk about hurting each other and all the negative stuff. Program that into us so that the positivity doesn't push through. Do you feel like that?
Absolutely. And they do it more so, and I got to be honest about this, they do it more so to us. They do it more so to us. And I'm really starting to, well, I'm going to say starting, but I've always realized that they have definitely done it more to melanated creators than any other, particular group. And honestly, they even make it to where, even in regards to the algorithm, where it seems as if more negative content gets pushed more than the positive content. Like, you could put all the tags in the world. You could put all the hashtags in the world. Ultimately your core audience, your usual supporters, are going to be the ones to pile in when you're doing certain things. But I do feel that our people are the most, get the heavier consequences. Because if you even look at who the bigger, content creators are and how their numbers have been able to be pushed, it's none of our people. It's none of us. Like, we have some that are able to get to the 1 million, the 100,000 mark, but it's not us at the top of the pyramid. And that's the God honest truth. But we do get it the worst.
Yeah, we do. I agree. What kind of content? Before I say this real quick, we have some new people in the audience. We have Tiara's family in here, as well as Rock Squad, as well as the Mo 3 sector, and some from the beef sector. Please say hello to your neighbor and get comfortable with people, because you never know who you have to network with in the end. You know, if you're gonna be upcoming content creator, you might think about running your own channel, and you want some subs. You know, this is how you start meeting people, and everybody isn't bad people to meet on this app. So just get acquainted with your neighbors, and there's nothing wrong with saying hello. Okay, Tiara, I'm so sorry about
That's so,
that.
girl. This is your show. Do your thing, honey.
So what kind of content and content creators draw you to their channel, and why?
Okay, so the kind of content I like for people to be, first and foremost, I go really based now off energy. If I feel good when I come to your channel, I'm gonna hit that button. I'm gonna subscribe to it. If you make me feel welcome, I'm gonna subscribe to it. If I feel like, because in the day, there's not just one genre of conversation for me. I'm very diverse. So yeah, one day I'm gonna hear about the mess with a celebrity. Then yeah, I might want some social awareness. Then we're gonna sprinkle on top some spirituality. And yeah, we might get some DIYs up in there, some pranks. Like I'm very diverse with what it is that I pay very close attention to, but I don't like anything that makes me feel off, anything that makes me feel thrown off or feels like my energy battery's being drained. So if I feel like your energy is draining to me, I'll love you from a distance. I'll hit the like button, but I won't do it. You know what I'm saying? But if you make me feel as if you're really trying to connect to your audience and you're trying to show your appreciation for your audience and you're just being authentically you, that's what will keep me around. So I look for authentic people, welcoming people, people that are trying, like, even if you even have some channels that, they have mess, but they do break and use their channel at times for awareness. I can appreciate that too. So whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your niche is, as long as I know that you're being authentically yourself and our vibration connects and our energy connects, then yeah, that's what I go based off of. So there have been some things I've had to tune out because that's not where I am right now. You know what I'm saying? So now where I am, like, I want to feel like a family environment. I want to feel like I'm included in the conversation. I want to feel like I'm going to, even if it's something that may be considered a mess, I want to learn something from what we're discussing. So that's ultimately what I look for now. And honestly, I'm going to tell y'all this too. When I first started on this platform, I made a whole lot of mistakes, child. I made a lot, okay? But now that I have learned and I have grown in the midst of all of that, I now know what it is that I look for and me realizing where I fit. And where I fit is in platforms similar to yours.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now I really want to get into some of the topics that you do touch on, that I was researching you with and listening to the commentary when I hit the replay. Because, a lot of times people say hitting the replay and they never go and watch the replay. You know what I'm saying? So then in the future, when you do an interview with the person, you didn't watch the replay, you don't even know what the heck's the person. You just going off like, what are we talking about? Oh, hey, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Tell us about yourself. And it doesn't go anywhere for the people to capture something from it. So I know that you talked about the changes you made from being an alien to now you on this, so now you're on this topic. But you did do commentary on the Shanquilla Robinson case. What captured your attention about the story?
When I first saw on a blog, the neighborhood talk to be specific, and they said that she died from alcohol poisoning, my brain did this thing where it was like, no, that's not right. No, I didn't even know much about it at the time. So the next day after that report was released, I remember sitting back talking to a few of my people. I was like, yo, something's not right about this. I don't think this girl died from alcohol poisoning. I was just like, no, like, that's not right. And we were like, yeah, like, this doesn't make any sense. So ultimately, when they announced that the autopsy, the full autopsy was done and that video dropped, I was like, wait, no. Like, I responded in the sense of being like a mother, because I'm like, I couldn't imagine if I saw my child being brutally beaten on camera and it went viral and no one told me anything. So the first time I even talked about Shanquella's story was on Instagram. I hadn't even brought it to YouTube yet. I did an Instagram live and a lot of people piled in and was like, yeah, you right. Like we knew something wasn't right about what conclusion they drew. So from there, I just started following it. And honestly, Shanquella's story is one of the first of me being a content creator that I covered, as soon as the update dropped, I came on. As soon as I read something, I came on. If I researched certain terms that were used in like the reports and stuff like that, certain documents, I immediately did it. And, that fell in line with, what I do on a regular basis, even outside of YouTube. Like there's a lot of people that know that I have advocated heavily for people that have been wrongfully incarcerated. So I do a lot of work outside of YouTube where people reach out to me, ask me to share stuff, or, they'll send me a story surrounding that. As a matter of fact, one of the stories that I covered actually made its way to Dr. Phil today. So, yeah. So when I seen that it was becoming more widespread and people are talking about me, I'm like, wow, like I feel like I'm a part of that history of people that spoke out about it. So knowing that, I don't know if you ever heard of the story of Terrence Richardson and Ferone Claiborne that were incarcerated they were found not guilty for quote unquote unaliving a cop, but they still are serving a life sentence. So when that story came to me, like I was like, okay, wow. Like that was actually one of the first stories that I covered along that particular topic. So when you had Shanquella's story pop up, I'm like, okay, this is something that I need to talk about. And I just kept talking about it and kept talking about it. Like even to this day, like there are certain rooms that I have created like on Facebook, like private rooms where like people will message me and be like, why did this happen? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? And I answer those questions to the best of my ability. Sometimes I even send them over to Shank Channel because I'm like, listen, he's directly in contact with these people. Go watch his content. You will find out a lot more than even what I can give you. But just as a mom, as a Black woman, as somebody that has been adamant about making sure that we speak out for things. We know the media is not going to keep tabs on it. I just feel like I want to do my part, honestly.
And I've been to the march. I watched the mother at the balloon release. Then in the DC march was amazing. When we're hearing about nothing happening to the Cabo 6, and I get we keep saying the Cabo 6, even though in the video we do see one person, attacking the other person. And do we all really feel like, how do you feel about the punishment? Do you think it should be a punishment to the Cabo 6 or just the one person? How do you feel about that?
All that, hold on. I'm trying not to curse. So all their behinds need to be punished. That absolutely. I don't think that anyone should be exonerated from what happened to her. If you held the camera, you should be held accountable. You knew what happened. You were present that day. You should be held accountable. You did the actual assault. You should be held accountable. Because let's be very clear. If Shanquella was not one of ours, all of them would have been held under the jail, whatever state or country they would have been in. But because it's what we call the Black on Black crime, it's like, oh, let's see what happened. Oh, well, we can't really do this, can't really do that. So we're not going to pressure. What you mean? Like, how is this not important to you? How is this not crucial? How is it that these people get to be free after just what that simple video showed? And they're still enjoying their lives. They're still living their lives. And no one has yet to come fully clean about what the source of that anger was on that day, what caused that altercation. And even forget like me, a person that's watching the story. You couldn't give her family any closure. You have them doing these rallies, these protests, balloon releases, going through holidays without their child. And you mean to tell me not one of y'all had an ounce of empathy to even go to this family and say, like, listen, this is what happened. We didn't mean for it to get this far, but it did. So for lack of accountability alone and lack of just morality alone, since y'all are so comfortable walking free, someone should snatch your freedom. Now, you go into the topic of these videos and these assaults that are happening. Let me put it to you like this. I know all too well about street justice. I know about that. Okay. I've seen it, like literally, visually seen it. Okay. It's not a pretty sight. But is it to the level of justice that I would like to see in regards to them actually being held accountable legally? No, because them bruises is gonna heal. They get lumped up, they that can heal. Chinquala is still not with us. So yeah, I would like to see some consequences. I would like to see some jail time. And before anybody say, "Oh, but you're a black woman, why would you want to see your people?" No, listen, all skin folk and kin folk, boo. Hey. You do the crime. If I would go to jail for killing somebody, whether deliberately or on purpose, so should one of them. The main person, yeah, of course, give her the heaviest time, but all of them should be held accountable. And I stand on that.
Yeah. So you kind of spoke on that. How does that really make you feel about our justice system? I felt, even though, you know, I'm at this rally, I'm in front of Ben Crump, Sue Ann Robinson, Tamika Mallory, and Ben Chavis. Some of the big, in front of a monument that held some of the biggest people in Black history moments, monumental moments in this building I'm standing in front of. So it's historic, but at the same time that it's supposed to be historic, I'm waiting for these people to come out and, you know, give us the news that everybody, like content creators like you, Shank Rock, Danny, the Truth Teller, you know, all y'all content creators are, you know, giving y'all countless hours because y'all want justice, and to come out and hear that our justice system has let us melanated people down once again. I mean, I was gut hurt, and she watching the mother stand in front of us and still put on that face. It's like, how many times do you get punched in the gut with the same news? Like, y'all don't care about my child. That's how I took it, even though she stood there strong, stern. And how did you feel about our justice system for our melanated people?
Let me tell you a story, Miss Parker. Can I be vulnerable with you real quick?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to be real vulnerable with y'all. Okay. So a few years ago, before I was a content creator, before any of y'all knew who I was, okay, there was a little situation that happened here in New York City. Okay. I don't know if y'all remember Sean Bell. Do you remember the story? Okay. So here's what happened with Sean Bell, because that was the first thing that woke me up when I was younger. So Sean Bell was unalived by the police literally the morning before his wedding. Okay, he was on his way home from a bachelor party, and he was unalived before his wedding. Okay, now in the days that followed, I'll never forget the day when they were doing the protest for Sean Bell on Parsons and Archer, which is in Jamaica, Queens, and I saw all these people marching and protesting. And mind you, I'm on my way to work. I had to be about, I want to say 17, 18 when that happened. I could be totally wrong. I'm going to go back to the year. But when I seen those people marching on Parsons and Archer, and I heard the, the people using the blowhorns and saying like Sean Bell was murdered, like that woke up something in me, because I realized that we really are attacked and we are done the worst in this country. Okay. Because for us to have so many different levels of quote unquote justice, having a quote unquote justice system, balance of the scales, what they did to that man years ago, I'll never forget it. That man was not armed. That man was about to marry the love of his life, and he was unalived. So that was the first story that ever woke me up to the justice system, corruption, and just made me sit back and say, you know what, like I have a feeling like this is something that's going to stick with me forever. So that was the first story ever, the first situation ever that had me realize that, like, especially when there was no actual justice for what happened to him, that woke something up in me. And that happened in my city. So as you keep going down the line of different stories that have happened over the years, and you're growing up watching this, you're not, because some people view things with blinders. When it comes to stuff like this, I had to take the blind off and say, okay, let me look at this for exactly what it is. You hear the public outcry. The people are marching. The people are practically begging you to do something that's going to bring justice to a situation. And it's like, why do we have to beg for something that's supposed to be, quote unquote, our constitutional right? And why is it that when it comes to, people of color, melanated people, why does it seem as if when it happens to us, it's nothing? When it happens to someone else, it's something. So, in the way they craft the criminal justice system, the justice, yes, after his bachelor party, you right? See, all about, yeah. So I noticed that we're held to a different level of scrutiny than others. You know what I'm saying? That we have to beg for our justice. We have to plead for it. We have to keep attention on it versus someone else. They'll get their crime solved in 24, 48 hours. They'll hold somebody accountable within a week, maybe a month. But we have to constantly beg for justice. And that's the same thing that I feel so bad about, especially when it comes to Shanquella's story, because it's like, y'all be so gun-ho to say, we need proof. The video wasn't enough damn proof for you? The video alone. Oh, the autopsy one? Oh, now you want to reconstruct the no. So no, I'm not a fan of how the justice system is crafted because it's intended to, especially for people of color, to make it to where they inherit this pattern of either serving the longest sentences, they have the longest waits for appeals, court dates, all of the above. So yeah, I don't like it. If there was a way to reform it, fine. If they want to deconstruct it and start over, I'm okay with that too. But we need some people that are really down for the cause in there, not just who you appoint because of people's tax dollars.
Yeah. Whew. Thank you for giving your commentary on that, because this is topics that need to be had. It's only getting worse, Tiara. It's only getting worse, and they're showing us. You know what I'm saying? You also talked about the Tory Lanez case. What, I see you talking about Tory Lanez. What intrigued you to keep touching on Tory Lanez?
All right. Ms. Paul, you trying to get me in trouble, girl?
No, I'm
joking.
I want to know. I'm interested. Like I said, I love your commentary. And these are things that ain't happening too much over here. I don't get into if they are talking about it. I'm not really stopping through to listen, because I guess it is the voice, like Rockwell was saying about the voice. Sometimes I guess it's your presentation of a topic that'll keep somebody interested. And I got to learn that myself when delivering content as well. So sometimes I watch different people from different sectors and different walks of life, to deal with topics and conversation I have with my people.
But
so with Tory
Lanez, his little midget self. So here's what started my journey on the Tory Lanez case. Okay, so I literally followed the story from the beginning. Okay, so here's what happened. The first initial report that everybody heard. Now, some people will say, I never heard that. Listen, go back in time. During the pandemic, we was all supposed to be in the house, and they was outside in pool parties with Kylie Jenner. Okay. The first initial report was that something happened where Megan had stepped on glass. Okay, that was the original storyline. Megan gets on the internet looking all pretty, wearing her jewelry with her hair, saying, she just wants to watch her immediate circle. I felt empathetic for that of Megan Thee Stallion, and low key, I still do, because at the end of the day, she's young. So let me break this down, what I know about Megan. One, I know that she lost her mother. Okay. And that was something that, I empathized with her on. And for the fact that I know that she's around my youngest sibling's age, that was something that I looked at. Now, when everything started, going further down the line, and we had all of this quote unquote evidence that was presented, and, the different stories, Lord Julia, she gonna say free Tory everywhere she go, Lord.
And that's okay. It's Julia's opinion.
Listen, she said, I love my girl shit. But yeah, so I started, when I started reading about the different stories that were happening, no one was telling the full story. Like, let's be very clear, to this very day, we know the end result, but we never knew the whole story. Because they say there's three sides to a story. It's one person's side, the other person's side, and somewhere in the middle, there's the truth. But in this situation, we have four sides to a story. It's her, the other her, Tory, and whatever comes down in the middle. So I started following it, and then there were certain discrepancies and testimony. certain things that happen. So I followed it because, one, I'm not going to sit up here and say that Tory's not a violent little midget and that he doesn't have violent tendencies, because he do. He's a very temperamental little midget. But ultimately, if we're going to look for a conviction, like a solid conviction, can I honestly say that the conviction in the guilty verdict was based off a complete solid conviction? I'm not a lawyer. I have no legal expertise, but no. Because if there was no quote unquote, if there was no solidified DNA, confirmed or unconfirmed, okay, if he never testified, which I'd still say it to this moment, he should have. His little short self should have testified, but I understood the fact that they were going to use his music and his tattoos against him, and that's why the attorney at that time said, don't do it. But also, the representation that he started out with is not who he ended up with at the trial. He had one whole other lawyer named Sean Holly, and then ended up with a man named George. I don't know how to say the man's last name, forgive me, but it starts with an M. But then he ended up with George, and George only had 2 weeks to learn his case fully. So I'm like, Dan, you had a botched lawyer. You didn't testify. Then they introduced all these different things during trial or right before trial was about to begin. I'm like, I don't know, something just don't seem right about it. So I just kept following it. But at no point am I sitting up here, because I heard some people tear down the midget. I had some people tear down the stallion. I'm not here to tear neither one of them down, because I feel like every last one of them was at fault. You should have had your butts in the house. You shouldn't have been outside during the pandemic. Maybe if y'all stayed at home and drank on Zoom, none of y'all would be in this position right now. But since we're here, and that's what happened, I just follow it, because now we're moving into a possible appeal. They did not grant his request for a new trial, which I deep down inside, despite the argument that they made, knew they was not going to grant a new trial. So anybody that really had their hopes like, whoa, he's going, no, they ain't. Y'all got to understand, you got to prove that his constitutional rights was violated. And truth be told, technically they weren't. But do I feel like there's some things that they did that are a little bit questionable in this trial? Hell yeah. And I stand on that tenfold. But do I condone Tory's little narcissistic self? Yeah, because he's a little narcissist. He done got into so many fights. He got a temper problem. If you can read his backstory, that man has had issues before he even got in the industry. Okay, so I know he got a problem, and unfortunately, I'm glad to see his father supporting him right now. But his daddy wasn't always around. His mother was his biggest, support system and confidant, and I believe his grandmother. But I'm glad his daddy around now, because there was a man when he was traveling around the world and doing his music thing, and that's where Tory inherited his talent from. But ultimately, child, listen. I'm going to follow this until there's a complete conclusion. I know he's about to be sentenced on the 13th of this month. Yeah, and his minimum, that man could see anywhere, like he could see 22 years. So I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. He could see 22 years in jail for this mess, okay? 22 years. And the minimum is, hold on, let me recap my notes real quick. Let me go back to, because I'll make sure I give y'all the right information. Okay, so boom, he has a mandatory minimum of 9 years. So he may get 9 years for this thing, okay? And that's the minimum, 9 years for a night out. But the maximum is 20-something years. So all because of you want to be back and forth between friends and soiling your royal oats, you may be away from your child for 9 years. And if they give you the max, like that boy's going to be a teenager going into college, all because you wanted a night out. So yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you this, because you touched on a lot. I was gonna ask you about the discrepancy. So do you feel like it was more discrepancies in Megan's story or Tory's? Just being honest.
Listen, when that woman got on CBS News this morning and said that she did not have an intimate relationship with Tory Lanez, just to find out during trial that she did have an intimate relationship with Tory Lanez, which facilitated the combative situation between Tory, Kelsey, and Megan. which played I don't care what anybody say. Anytime I can't even say it's a crime of passion, I won't even say that it's quote unquote DV. But ultimately, when you deal with a situation like this where there is a romantic tie, it makes it a sensitive situation. But ultimately, you already know the victim, the quote unquote victim, is always going to be the most heavily criticized. So anything you say that is not factual, they're going to look at you as being potentially dishonest. And that's from public opinion. The court doesn't worry about that. But in court of public opinion, it's like, okay, well, she lied about that. What else is she lying about? And I understand that wholeheartedly because, again, I think there's certain things that Miss Megan left out. There's some things that Miss Mamas did not say. There's some things that she should reveal because she has not been completely transparent in her encounter with that of the midget and Kelsey. Okay, so I think everyone has a hand in the level of dishonesty. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I do feel that there's been a major difference from when the story first broke. The fact that the fragments went missing, we never seen the fragments. Somehow the fragments never made it to court. The Pum never made it to court. The quote unquote that was supposed to be the most solid testimony against Tory never made it to court. Because one minute he said, I didn't see him Pum. Then I did see him Pum, but it was in the air. Then it wasn't Pum in the air. It was directly at her. How the little person gonna stand in the SUV and be able to accurately target the person that's of a taller stature? Honey, I wasn't there. But that's what I say to people. None of us were there. So that's why I don't understand why people try to come at my neck when I say that none of us were there. We don't know the whole story. We have yet to hear Tory's story. Okay, we have yet to hear it. And I would like to hear his story. But somehow Miss Kelsey, the friend, the former assistant stylist, whatever you want to call her behind not only got immunity, but pled the fifth. There you go. Yeah, she pled the whole fifth. I'm like, well, how was she able to get that kind of deal? Because I could think of a few people that should have been able to get that kind of deal in real life, outside of the celebrity spectrum. But I'm like, how did she get away with that? And you kind of figure out why. Because truth be told, the prosecution didn't have a solid case. And that's just my personal opinion. Their arguments were not solid. They introduced things over time. A lot of the things that they presented during trial were not things they had in their back pocket from when the story initially broke. They didn't interview anybody regarding this story till like 2022. You waited to interview your key witnesses and the people that were there in 2022, but the incident happened in 2020.
So with we talking about the Tory Lanez case, for our black men, do you see it's almost like damn if you don't, damn if you do? Because even if it's not time, it's still a record. It's still a charge on him for that. So where do you think this leaves our black men? Because even without, they making them plead guilty. You know what I'm saying? They making them go to trial. So then they don't want to go to trial because who wants to keep going to trial where you automatically doing 10? You know what I'm saying? When you can get probation, or I'm gonna do this, sure, not get out and be on probation for 5. This is leaving our black men. I mean, we are consistently being let down.
That's true. And the thing that bothers me the most is the fact that when it comes to the criminal justice system, especially when it comes to black men, I'm going to point this out because people probably should know this if you don't already know this. Number one, they tell you you're innocent until proven guilty. No, you're guilty until proven innocent. So let's make sure that we put that as a marker. Okay. Let's make sure we staple that in our head. Let's make sure we get that ideology focused on, because they're going to say innocent until proven guilty in the court of law, but no, you are guilty until proven innocent. And that definitely applies to all of our melanated brothers. Let's make that clear first and foremost. 2, the fact that when it even comes down to legal representation, okay, ideally, a lot of our brothers don't know what to look for in a potential lawyer. Some brothers can't afford the good lawyer. They have to go with the public defender. And in many cases, the public defender is not going to give you the 100% that you would need from that of like a high profile attorney. Okay, so they have to settle for the bare minimum and hope that will work in their favor. Okay, like even with I do too, amazing. I sure do. Yes, I think it was her, and I stand on that. I think it was her. She did the Pum. She did it allegedly. #allegedly. Okay. But yeah, honestly, they don't have the advantages that other cultures have when it comes to legal representation. Okay. They have to either go with the bare minimum for what they can afford or what they cannot afford. But they don't get a fair shake. Okay. And a lot of times what they like to do is they like to drum up, a person's history, were they in trouble before?
Right.
Did they go through things before? Were they in, the criminal justice system before? Were they in any system, government control system before? And ultimately, the downfall with that is instead of them trying to process what that person went through that led them to this point or how they ended up in this situation, it goes to the guilty until proven innocent. So what I believe the thing is that we need to get a handle of is finding resources from state to state of how especially melanated Black men can get good representation, because that's a part of the problem. And oftentimes, if you don't know your rights, that's another potential problem. If you don't know what a person should be able to do versus what they shouldn't be able to do, if they're doing like a search and seizure or if there's a warrant or something to that effect, it's very important that you learn your amendments and your rights and your laws in your state. You have to learn those things. And ultimately, when you step into the courtroom, okay, I always say that humility is the best medicine. Don't go in there thinking it's a slam dunk. Don't go in there thinking because you may have the good lawyer that's just going to be all that's required to get you off. Humility, you got to play the game. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to the criminal justice system, I'm sorry, it's a game. It's about how many beds they can fill in these jail cells. It's ultimately about how many people they can get behind these walls, because you already know they get funding for each body they put in a cell. So the prison system is a money-making system when it comes to especially our brothers. They want to make as much money as they can, and in some way, shape, or form, still implement the same standpoint for that of what we would call modern-day slavery. They make you work for cheaper labor. You're not going to get your worth. They deliberately make certain things a particular way so that they can afford whatever master plan it is that they have. So I'm advising, especially my brothers out there, please learn your rights. Please try to stay out of trouble, but learn your rights. Know what you're entitled to. Know your state laws. Do not let them just tell you any old thing. You do have rights. Don't let them take your rights away from you. That's the main thing, because they will play with you. They will.
Yeah. So you also touched on the Jamie Foxx story, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about that because this goes along kind of with the Tory Lane. Still, I want to move away from that and get to the Jamie Foxx. But how do you feel about them saying that Jamie Foxx is in a hospital and celebrities are praying for him, and then we have the daughter like, my father's been home for weeks.
Listen,
And yes, I know we can make up stories, and I know, but when we're hearing it from celebrities, and we know celebrities know it's like the neighborhood, what everybody knows, the old woman on the block know everything that's going on in the neighborhood. So in the celebrity world, the circles are short. You're gonna hear, what I'm saying? We short the Black actors compared to the blue ones. So I'm just saying, for the daughter to come back and say, my father's been home for weeks, but we have known celebrities saying this, along with the Tory Lanez things. What are we really involved in when it comes to the industry and things they do for publicity? Like, is it like a blood vow or what? Because I read into stories like that. I listen to rappers and things. I listen to their documentaries when they're talking about how the industry works. So we're going from Tory pleading guilty to something that most of us, and me being a woman, I don't have to stick by a Black woman's story just because we're sisters and we're Black. I have to really take in account of what the story is, and I have to look into it like you did, and that it was a lot of discrepancy. So there's nothing wrong with us as Black women to say, I don't believe you. You know what I'm saying? Just because you make good music, you twerk, you dress nice, you got a little money, doesn't make you valuable. And for the fact of our Black men getting put in these predicaments like this, what is really going on? What do you think it is? Do you really think it's selling their souls to the devil in the industries? Because I that's how I feel.
Look, I'm gonna put it like this, okay? Yes, learn all your First Amendments. Yes, but specifically learn your Fourth, learn the Second and the Fourth Amendment. I'm gonna just point that out. The Second Amendment and the Fourth Amendment. Get in tune with that. Far as the industry, let me tell you something. I've always said this, and I'm gonna say it one more again. I don't want to be in the industry. I have no desire to be in it. I don't want to walk through it. Like, I know like a lot of people have, and it's cool if this is your aspiration. Like, if you want to be, interviewing on the red carpet, if you want to do some 2020 CNN, like, I get it. Vibrate higher, set your sights higher. That's you. Me, I just want to be in a position where I don't have to go through all of that because I don't trust everything. Like, honestly, I have people in my family that work in the industry, which is, honestly, how some things I found out. I know certain things because they was in it. Okay, like I have an uncle that has dealt closely with a very famous rapper from here in New York City. I ain't gonna say no name because I'm not gonna do all that. But he knows about the game. He's been in it temporarily, and I've also had people that I know that have done security for some of these celebrities, and I've heard everything that there is to hear. I've been grossed out about a lot of the things that I've heard, but ultimately there are people that are willing to disconnect from their true selves to be a part of this industry. Yes, there are people that will sell their souls. I 100% believe that. Okay, because the thing that happens is they look at, okay, well, I came from this. I come from this environment. I came from the mud. I came from the dirt. I came from the ghetto. I came from the hood. I was slinging this, selling that. I want something different. But sometimes it gets down to the point where, well, is there something different not only just going to benefit you financially, but you also got to look at the fact like what that's going to do for your longevity and your sense of peace. Because at some point, you going to have to pay it forward. Okay. And sometimes, and this is my personal belief, that a lot of these celebrities have had to pay for it with their own life. Now, you get the storyline of Jamie Foxx, like, yeah, there was a whole lot of chaos and confusion because we had people that were saying that the man was on his what bed. Okay, they was already ready to kill him off. Do I think that this situation is sketchy? Absolutely. Because how we went from people that's supposed to be friends of this man talking about we need prayers, pray for Jamie. Then, and we've been talking about this since April, and then the daughter come out talking about, oh, my daddy's been home for the past couple of weeks. I'm like, so these rumors been flown around about your daddy about to be unalived and not with us no more. We over here recapping when he was on In Living Color in the Jamie Foxx show, and you wait until they say that they gonna pull the plug and the family's by his bedside, which y'all are by his bedside.
Yeah.
And you gonna wait all these weeks. Oh, my daddy been home. He was playing pickleball. And I'm like, what the heck is pickleball? What is pickleball? And I looked up pickleball and found out that pickleball is very similar to tennis. I'm like, so your daddy been home from the hospital. They said that he was about to be unalive, but he was in the people's rehab playing pickleball. Some just don't be right. And that's why after a while, when I feel like it's getting to be a little too deep, where I am now, see me before, you would have asked me this question in 2020, maybe, I probably would have been like, let me dig a little bit deeper. Yeah. I don't want to dig deep no more. I'm about to move on to something else. Because I'm like, no, okay, he in rehab. He's healing. They laughing, joking. The daughter was playing guitar song. He about to have a show in 2024. Good for you, Brother James. But the least you could have did since you was able to play pickleball was come on Instagram Live real quick and say, hey, y'all, I'm okay. Why you couldn't come on Instagram and make us a real post and show us that? Why couldn't your daughter take pictures of you playing pickleball? We wanted to see you playing pickleball. We see everything else with you. But no problem. You in rehab, you recovering, your family by your side. I'm gonna leave you be to your stuff. But them rumors are floating around about, can't stop, won't stop, bad boy. And I'm gonna leave that alone because you got people out here claiming children is they daddy, children daddies is DNA and no. I just don't want to dig that deep anymore. I just can't. I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. He's safe. He alive. Fine. Y'all believe he's cloned. Some of y'all wrote me and said y'all think he's cloned and we ain't going to get the same Jamie. Well, listen, you look to see the evidence of the clonery because I won't be talking about it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those are deep topics, and you will probably definitely get struck for that. Rockwell said, look at Tom Hanks and his wife. We heard they had 19 and then we didn't hear from them no more. Then all of a sudden, Miss Winfrey took a picture with them. But that is true. This is true. See, this is the thing that, I don't really think enough of us melanated people really get into. It is such thing as conspiracy theories, but they threw that word conspiracy theory out there to throw us off. Man, they made that up. I tell Shank certain things, certain stories. When he first asked me, was tell me about yourself and how I grew up and all of that. I remember this, and I was telling him certain things, but I said I don't even tell these stories because I know that people like, man, she's lying. She must have been getting high at a young age. Now we get picked on. They make up the craziest things to say that we're making things up, but you really have to just remove everything out of your mind and look at it just in a real type of way. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be high listening to those stories. You really have to look at some of these industry stories for what it really is and the things that's really occurring. And people don't believe in witchcraft and things like that, but this just really comes from decades ago. You know what I'm saying? Modern time, old times that came from those times and those eras of years and years and years ago. So I really, wanted to touch with you on that because I was like, so he's not doing good from his friend, and I can't see this man lying. But then the daughter comes, and it's like at the family. When you think the family let them run with their narratives, we know people gonna make up stuff. So as the family, you would have a family discussion that the media is gonna eat up anything we say. Let's stay off social media, about anything until till we get the clearance that he's gonna be okay, not barely okay, not prayers up, please pray that he makes it through the night, but really just let's stay off the social media. That's when you got that much money, those are the kind of meetings you think you would have. Because now it's like the daughter just ain't coming out believable. Because I can't see somebody just waking up going, let me say, y'all please pray for the family we losing them. Prayers and we losing them is two different things.
Hello, because that's the thing that irritates me about social media. I'm gonna just say this, okay? So, for example, when she brought her butt on social media and said, "Please pray for my deity," please pray for my deity. Okay, that put us in your business. Okay, you came on the internet and said, "Pray for my deity." So we pray for your daddy. So then but we like, what we praying for? Because we don't know what happened to him. And granted, I know some things are personal, but if you say, please pray for my daddy, and your daddy is Jamie Foxx and not Bobo from down the street, yeah, we've been watching Jamie Foxx for years. Why do you think we wouldn't be sitting here trying to figure out what's going on with him? Then you come out of left field talking about he was playing pickleball, and you've been hearing these rumors about your daddy since April. From the Diddy stuff and everything. So now you want to come out and say, oh, my daddy found he playing pickleball. It's like, okay, well, your daddy playing pickleball and you seen it and y'all was going to visit him. What would have been the crime to just come on and just say, hey, dad's doing better. Thank you for your prayers. We will update you at a later date. Was that so hard? Or were y'all trying to drive attention to this new show y'all got coming out in 2024? Allegedly.
It has been a great time with you. This has been a great interview with you. We touched on a lot of different things, but I really don't want to give away too much of what you talk about on your show, because I want them to go to subscribe and actually listen to what you got going on over there on your channel. Because not only do you just have the TIARA LATRESE show, she also has Dose of Awakening podcast, and she touches on universal law, Black on Black, self-care and shadow work, and hell after self-unaliving. So let's go show Miss TIARA some love. I dropped both links in the chat at the beginning of the show. I love everything about you, TIARA. You're very amazing. I love how you switch from, real news to touching on the celebrity world. And not only do you just go and take a recording and post it, you really give commentary on these people. You dig deep, and it ain't just what you heard. You digest the situation, and you take in every word that's been said, and you don't just put out false narratives with these stories. And I love that about you, because a lot of people are getting paid off of false narratives. They don't want to hear what's real and what ain't. So you really don't get the real story of things. You know what I'm saying? You only get a narrative to run with. And I love you so much for being authentic and putting stories out there. And I think you deserve, all the following and to be so you're just so amazing. And another thing, so your show, was it taken to another platform? I tuned in for a second, but I was traveling at the time. And I think you said your podcast got put on another network, or it was good
Okay.
news.
So when I said I was gonna get back in the podcast game, let me tell y'all this. I'll be quick. I was like, there was just this one day that hit me. I said, God, I wanna go back where I was. I want to go back to what makes me happy. And that's when I started building the podcast back up for Dose of Awakening. And I was like, God, if you just get me back where I really want to be, I'm going to take it serious. I'm going to be mindful, learn from my past mistakes, and I'm going to take it, all the way where it needs to go. So one day it was random. I just said, you know what, I already had it. Because the thing was, my podcast was already on Spotify. It was already on Google. It was already on Apple Podcasts and everything. But there was one more platform that meant a lot to me. So I just went on ahead and did the application process to get my podcast on iHeartRadio. So I did the process. I was like, okay, let's see if this happens. And then lo and behold, I get that email, and I'm gonna be real, it's as loud or as free spirited as y'all think I am. I'm a crybaby. Okay, I am. So when that email came and I seen it, I was like, I feel like the same day when I started the first podcast, when I got that email and they said, you're live, it's happening. I was like, you know what? This was all the sign that I needed. So when they said your podcast was added to iHeart, I said, and the thing was, I didn't even realize that a part of my banner was saying iHeartRadio 2023. I didn't realize that I was really, really, really putting it into the universe, even back in 2022. So then when it actually happened, I was like, oh, wow. Okay, so we got to go full throttle with it now. So now anytime I feel is something that inspires a topic or something that, bursts in me, and I feel like I got to, even last night, I did a show specifically here on YouTube, but it was intended as a podcast episode. And it was really just dedicated to Black women, because I noticed that oftentimes we get torn down a lot. And sadly, we get torn down a lot by our own. And for the fact that I was seeing this happen recently here on this specific platform, I just wanted to send a message to women, my women of color, that we have importance. We have a journey. We have been through things. Our stories matter. Don't let anyone, especially anyone that does not know you, tell you your value or your worth. Your story is what generates your importance, and no one can take that from you. So don't let anybody on this app or any other app tell you what your worth is. We have a story. We need to tell it, and we need to come together. So I did that episode yesterday, and listen, when I was done with it, it was freeing for me, because there were things I didn't think I would ever have the gall or the gumption to say. But my ancestors was very much around me when I was doing it, because I had a little sign that happened while the show was recording. And I'll tell you that offline. But it's just something that just hit me and said, okay, we approve. We are here, and we are watching, and we're going to guide you the rest of your journey. So let me just tell y'all this. And and Ms. Parker, I'm going to give you this advisement too, because one thing I'm going to say about you is that you have a very vibrant spirit. And I can see that about you. I seen that about you from the first day I ever seen one of your lives. Okay. Whatever you feel your purpose is, live in it. Take it as far as it's going to take you. Stay dedicated, stay empowered, and allow people to continue to see you through not only your eyes, but even through their own perspectives, that they feel comfortable enough to share their journey with you. Because it takes a lot more than just it's going to be okay. Sometimes you need that open forum. You need for people to understand that you can be related to. And you're doing that on this platform. So when that's why that day when you said you was going to stop, I said, nah, I see 1K for you already. I already sense, I'm like, no, she's going to hit that number. I don't care what nobody tell me. She's going to hit 1K, and she's going to keep going. Because that was a day, that was around the time I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this no more neither. But it's like you got to rechannel your focus. and you've done that. You've done all the work you need to do. You give these women and these men a place where they can feel like they don't have to worry about whatever sector they came from. They ain't got to worry about what they went through yesterday. They have a place here with you. So you have a purpose out here, and God gonna carry you as far as you need to be carried. So trust, believe 1K is not your mark. Let's just say maybe in about, I don't know, maybe 2 years from now, you'll be way surpassed 1K, and we gonna just do our part to get you there. That's just what we gonna do. We gonna support each other, and we gonna make this thing work. And if people don't like positive people trying to push positivity despite what we've been through in this life, you can go somewhere else. Yeah. But we're going to keep building, and you're going to keep doing your thing. So I'm going to, like you say, you want to interview me, honey. I was honored to be interviewed by you.
Thank you so much.
I was honored. I said, okay, sure. Because I'm like, I want her to interview me. I'm like, if anybody going to ask me, if she asks me, I'm going to say yeah. And here we are today.
I love that. And congratulations to you, Miss TIARA, because, you know, I was inspired when I pulled up and heard about your show going to all these different platforms. That's a girl's dream, a woman's dream, you know, to be successful in those kind of ways. iHeartRadio is nothing simple. You know, that's a big platform, and congratulations to you, my melanated sister. That is huge. And I was like, I want that. I want that. I want to be there. I want to be there. And I know it takes major work to be there. I don't want you to hold my hand, but I do want you to be my inspiration and look to you and say, Miss TIARA, what do I need to do next? What can I change? What can I fix? You know, this is really my second interview, really even just getting down to real questions and things, because I'm learning. But, you know, I keep saying this is my third. And, you know, as I'm growing, and I'm like, oh, let me ask this question, because I think she could tell me a little bit more about this story, because she's doing more of the work for it, you know. I'm not doing commentary on it. I'm not really looking into it. I'm just listening. But I really do want to know, you know, without being so judgmental of the next person and things like that. So I really appreciate that. And for the other upcoming content creators that I have in the chat, what can you tell us, like the Intrinsic Love, the Loving Your Journey with London, the Shank Rocks and different things, the Courtneys and Lady K? What can you tell us about where to get our platform to go to that platform as well, take our YouTube life to a new realm?
Let me tell y'all something. You want to start a podcast, you want to move to a different platform, you want to try different things. If you hit me up, I will tell you exactly what you need to do. I'm not charging for none of it. I'm going to just show you what you need to do. You're going to tell you where you start and how you go from going the complete process all the way. You can get let me tell y'all something. The podcast channel that I originally used is called Anchor. Okay. And Anchor was originally a partnership with Spotify. Spotify has since taken over Anchor, and now it's just Spotify for podcasters. So once you start on Spotify, okay, once you start with them, okay, because that's the simplest way. You can either do it on your computer, you can do it on your phone. Like, you literally could be walking down the street, you see a bird flying, you say, today's a beautiful day. You can record it, that's a podcast episode. You figure out what you want your niche to be. You figure out your title, okay? From there, once you're done, right? What Anchor and Spotify do is that they distribute your podcast for you to other... Javante! Oh my God. Hey girl. How you doing? So once you do that, Anchor and Spotify will distribute your podcast for you on specific platforms. But if there's other platforms you want to go on, it's simply just obtaining your RSS feed, submitting it to where you want your podcast to be, and then just waiting for their approval. The only thing I'm going to say is make sure that you're not playing too much, well, they have a thing where you can utilize music, but it's not the whole song. It's like a portion if you want to do like interruptions, but it's not that hard. Okay. Like, people make you think it's hard. It's really not. Like, for iHeart, yeah, you got to apply to be submitted to them. If you want to be on TuneIn, which is like, I believe it's like a, oh my God, it's a parent of, Lord, if I could get the name, Lord, TuneIn is supposed to be with what? I'll look it up and send it to you. But if it's just certain places you have to submit your RSS feed to. And if they approve it, they go over your content. You know, they go through. You have to already have content, though. Like, you can't just like submit the fee once you create the account and get approved. You have to have actual content. I say your minimum should be at least 10 episodes before you apply. Once they look over that and they say, okay, your content's approved, you can get on there. It's not difficult. It's just whatever your content is. So if you're a person that's like heavy conspiracy, there's a place for you. And they actually say like, hey, like, is your content intended for adult audiences? Like they basically give you what category you fall in, what kind of content you're going to do. But there's an avenue for everybody. And for me, it's a lot more open to where you can talk about what you want to talk about compared to YouTube. Now, YouTube to me, I say to everybody, it's a great resource because not only is it good for promotion, but it's also good for, obtaining more audience and then carrying them over to whatever it is that you choose to do. But it's a very simple process. And if any of y'all are interested, and Miss Parker, that's for you too. If you say, Miss TIARA, I want to do the podcast, I will tell you exactly what you need to do and help you submit it. That's for anybody that's here right now. You want my help? You want to get on the podcast tip? That's something you feel like you're going to be dedicated to? I will walk you through it. And you can take yourself the rest of the way. I already got 3 people that I'm already doing this with them with, like helping them figure out like how they want to do the, I don't want to call it a thumbnail, but like the podcast art, like figuring out like what their name they want it to be. Like, what's it going to be dedicated towards? Like, basically your mission statement. I think anything you do should have a mission statement attached to it. But if you're serious, I will walk you through it. That's how that's going to go. I'm not going to sit up here and hog what we can do collectively and possibly save some people, inspire some people, and build some people up. So if you really want to get on the podcast and you're going to dedicate your time, I'll help you. Find me.
I'm ready. I definitely want your help with that. Rockwell's the Universe, Kiwis, Hot Topic, Loving Your Life for London, Loving Your Journey Life for London. This is for us. This is the time now because we all we all want better for ourselves. That's anybody. Miss Rockwell said, I'll sign up for that. So, Miss TIARA, can you tell them how to get in touch with you so we can be more successful? That's why I named this title today, Success Tea with the TIARA LATRESE Show, because I knew listening to her and saying, I listened to how happy you was, and I was like, that's huge, that's big, and I don't want to be on YouTube forever just doing content. I want my message and my stories to go further. And again, another congratulations to you for your story to make it to Dr. Phil. That is so huge.
I was like, they're gonna be on the TV screen and they gonna listen. I was thrilled when the people that shout out to Jared Adams Law Firm, they had posted it on Instagram out and they said it's gonna be Terrence and Ferrone's story is gonna be on Dr. I said, wow. Something I talked about is on Dr. Phil. Go figure. I was ecstatic. I started tearing up because I'm like, wow. Like I feel like me and the other people that covered this story. I'm like, we know what we want to see happen. But I was glad to see it happen. I need to watch the whole thing because today I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So I'm gonna watch the whole thing and see what their coverage was. But it just let me know that something I did made it to the mainstream and people are going to be talking about it. So for me, that's the biggest trophy and accolade that I could get. I don't need no medal. I don't need nobody to send me no, for the fact that something I talked about is getting the attention it rightfully deserves. That for me that's my reward. Hoping that these men will one day get out of jail because they are innocent and that loophole that judge pulled something terrible. So if y'all ever look it up, but I put my email in the chat for anybody that would like to reach out and email me. Y'all can find me on Instagram at the TIARA LATRESE Show. So if you don't do the email, you can DM me on IG if you have any questions. Like if you need help figuring out thumbnails, if you need help figuring out how to start the podcast thing, I will definitely give you what I know. And if you happen to find out something that maybe I don't know, maybe you could pass that knowledge on to me. But ultimately, just believe in yourself, promote yourself heavy, and don't be afraid to allow people to sit at the table with you. Because I love seeing people win. That's always been something I wanted to see happen. People make it. So yeah, we gonna sit at the table. Let's sit at the table.
This was awesome, Tiara. I love you so much for even, a lot of the times as black women, we don't want to see nobody succeed more than us. We don't want to see nobody else win above us. And I knew once I met you that you wasn't that type. And I knew that you would be one to open it to the rest of us. And for my sisters coming in, my Yellownated Gems, my Blue Moon Goddess, TIARA LATRESE has resources to get your channel to tell you in the direction to go to get your channel to iHeartRadio and other different platforms other than YouTube. We come on here and give so much energy to 100. Why not give it to thousands? Why not give it to millions? We could touch millions with our stories, whether it's your life story, your journey, whatever. We still got something to deliver out there, and got just a bigger, better journey ahead of us if we just take the initiative to work together and network together to get things going in the right direction. So Tiara, I appreciate you so much for that. She said, Miss Parker, Tiara, thank you for this live. I appreciate both of y'all for making a difference on the YouTube community. Thank you, Miss Rockwell. Thank you. She always leaves me great encouraging words. It's people like her and you, Tiara, that keeps me going and keeps me pushing. Hey, Melanie. Salute everybody. Salute Precious. So one more thing, you did a great interview with Shank Rock on Sunday. Salute to you, Tiara. It was so fun. Like for real, you know how you do interviews and it be so serious, and it's a good show, and it's like, okay, we now you leave the show, you're tired. But when y'all, it was fun. I had a good time. I ended up having me a glass of wine, and I love that energy. I just love that energy. And then you incorporated me into it by letting him do a switching lanes. He switched from shame to knowledge in less than seconds during the interview. So it was like, okay, that was nice. You know what I'm saying? And then you got involved, which made it even better because we know you team Parker, and I appreciate that. But how did you feel? Did you learn anything new from Shank? And what did you like about switching lanes? What did you really get out of switching lanes?
Okay, first things first. First things first. We are Team Miss Parker. Let's make that very clear. We are not Team Knowledge. If you're Team Knowledge, that's your business. I'm Team Miss Parker. What about it? We're Team Miss Parker, first of all. Second of all, what I like about switching lanes is that despite what Shank was describing in regards to saying, far as like the funding and wanting to turn it into a movie, I appreciate the fact that even in those short segments, it still told a story and it made sense. Get them eyeballs out of here, Knowledge. Don't look at me. You said I'm your enemy, right? So we gonna keep that same energy. Shank, you could stay. Knowledge, leave. Anyway. But I love the fact that it's a good story. You know what I'm saying? Like honestly, this is one thing I am going to say. Like when you watch certain programs on television, I feel like sometimes the shows don't need to be an hour because I'm like, dang, just get to the point. Get us to where we need to be in regards to this storyline. Okay. So I appreciate the fact that within those segments, in the period of time that we still understood the full story. And for the fact that y'all are not using a script, I appreciate that wholeheartedly. Like thinking of a concept on the top of the head, that's a talent that many people don't have. Like some people can't get into a character, freelance it, and still make it beautiful, where it's telling a real story. So that's what I really liked about it. So when I found out about it, I'm like, okay, let me check this show out. I'm like, all right, because I know he talk about Shankwella. Let me see what this show is. I'm like, oh, okay. And I even started watching, what's the movie? OG Like Me. I started watching it the other night. I said, let me watch this movie. And I like it so far. Okay. But what I like about it is that it really is relatable, for one. Yes, to the bunker. I like that it's relatable. Again, no matter what hood in America you live in, there's gonna be somebody that's moving weight. There's gonna be somebody that's about their hustle, about their money, and that's something that a lot of people can relate to. Like me personally, like in my family, there's a few people that was doing their little street activities, but we gonna leave that where it's at. Hello, I love y'all. Anywho, but it's relatable. We understand it, and I just got drawn to because I'm like, okay, like these are people who are going to be not only dealing with their content, but they're also branching out and doing other things outside of it. And that's pretty much what I'm doing now. It's like, as much as you could just sit up here and say, that, you know, you're a content creator. Like, I know there's more to me than that. And me find out that there's more to that for y'all, I'm like, okay, bet I could really get on board with this. So honestly, when it came down to the interview, I don't know why Knowledge thought we set this up where you was going to come on. Like, you didn't even know I was doing it. He didn't even know I was doing that. I'm like, listen, I just thought of this idea. Like, yeah, answer the questions as Knowledge. Don't answer it as Shane. No, get in character. Okay? Because I was potentially gonna come up with a character for myself for this interview, but I'm like, nah, I ain't got that kind of capacity. I was doing too much. But yeah, I love the show. I love what y'all are doing. Would I like to see it become a movie? Yes. Would I like to see y'all potentially do some kind of crowdfunding or something to fund? Go for it. I will definitely donate to that because I would love to see it be something bigger. But I feel like with the audience that both of you have and the people you have being a part of the show, like, y'all could definitely continue to get people engaged. And then for the fact that y'all even incorporated in y'all broadcast, that's smart promotion 101. I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, keep doing y'all thing. But I am team Miss T, Miss Parker, Knowledge. I'm throwing tomatoes at you from here to 2024 and beyond. Okay, you're moving janky. I don't like it. And if we're enemies, so be it. Okay? Yes, that's right, Blue Moon. Tell Knowledge he moving janky. Okay? I'm not with it. I'm not with none of that. No.
I love you, TIARA. I love you. And I love your commentary on the Switching Lanes episodes because it's good or bad. You know what I'm saying? It's not for everybody. And everybody's like for Switching Lanes, you know, but I love the good and the bad comments because it lets me know what I need to work on to do better, to get better. And also for everybody out there, Switching Lanes is available for anybody that wants to shoot a scene. Shank is also going to do another bring it to the YouTube scene again where we act on his platform. And if you want to act from the chat, that's fine. And we're going to put a PSA out there because, like I said, last year we did it and people was inviting their families to come in to see us act. And I think they was thinking we was doing this off camera, outside type of situation. So they come in, the family members again come in and they're like, who's she calling to be? Is she calling my sister to be? Wait a minute. They coming for my sister. You know what I'm saying? She was like, the sister's asking the sister on the platform, what are you talking about? That's not you. What is going on? So it was so fun, and everybody started catching on instantly. And they was like, yeah, Miss Parker, you're wrong, and they was like, no, I got time. That was like, you two-faced, you know what I'm saying? They was just in character, and it played out so well on the platform. And TIARA, I love your energy. I would love for you to be on an episode, honey. You guys to join us on an episode.
Oh my God. Sure. You just tell me that. Listen, y'all tell me the angle y'all want me to go with. Deal. I'll do it. Can I go against Knowledge on the show?
Yeah, that would be great. I think Miss Parker would love that. I'm for sure that she would love that. But anybody out there, the leaders, anybody out there that wants a part, you can shoot your part. Just tell us what you would like to do, what you would like to add to the Switching Lanes series. If you are a dancer, anything, you know what I'm saying, you want to add to Switching Lanes, we are open to any and everything. That's what it's about. It's about us taking a leap in another direction. And we never know who's gonna watch us, and you might go further than we win. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I can say, oh, I played a part in that with TIARA, or I played a part in that with London, whoever, But everybody is welcome to join. She said, Delilah said, y'all are so inspiring. This definitely made my day. I was not having the best day today. Peace, love.
Can I give a quick shout out before we leave here?
Yes.
Okay, so Delilah and Rare and Iconic LLC, those two people, I'm going to show y'all something real quick. They made me a customized shirt, and I value this because they really took a vision that I didn't have a vision for and made this shirt for me. So let me see if y'all can see it. This green screen might mess up. It's okay. I'm not mad about it. So they made a character based off of me to look like an alien and put it on the shirt for me. So yeah. And it says Alien Gang. So I want to give a shout out to them because they made me something very special. And I did not expect them to know what I specifically wanted for this concept. So shout out to them and all my aliens that came. I love you. Thank you for being here to support me. So Astute, Julia, Javante, Come Pillow Talk, Moni. I love all of y'all. And shout out to the people that support me. And I love you guys. Thank you. Yeah.
So, do they make merchandise or they just got the shirt?
Yeah, they definitely make merch. Okay, but this is something special that they did for me, so okay. I love it and I appreciate it. And Miss Delilah is a talented artist, and the owner of Rare and Iconic LLC is building that brand. So I appreciate them both because they could have did anything for anybody, and they chose me. So I appreciate that. That was the best gift I ever. It's one of the best gifts I ever got. So thank you.
Well, Miss Delilah, I would love to work with you, and I don't want to steal her ideas at all. Never knock anyone's blessings or step on anybody's toes to get, you know what I'm saying, what I want. But I would love to work with you, Miss Delilah, for some shirts or something for the Switching Lanes cast. You know, and also No Bias from the Rock Squad. She makes merchandise as well. So please go be a part of the Black-owned businesses. These it is good to finally have Black people making merch and, really stepping out of their boundaries to be successful, especially in these days and times. I think that when we went through that C19 year, people really started coming out with talents that was amazing. They're doing the nails, artwork, shirts and shoes and doing bedazzled shoes and shirts and different things they was doing, making ashtrays and some more stuff, and it was nice. And I didn't mind purchasing from my peoples because they was, utilizing, being in the house. Let me see what I can do. And it really brought out some good talent. And we don't support enough of our Black-owned businesses, and we don't support businesses, period, anymore. We want to go for the name brand stuff, the Ralph Lauren's, people that are already enriched with the most. You know what I'm saying? But we don't want to go support these people, because it's not as pricey, it's not as cheap, and I want to stay where it's cheap and affordable.
Okay.
Because I know how to make anything look good, Walmart, whatever. So don't ever be ashamed of what you wear. It's how you wear it. So,
I shop on Shein and Wish. What about it?
Yeah.
I shop on Amazon. I'm queen of cheap. I'm queen of cheap, all right? We ain't gonna play. I don't need to wear nothing. Listen, you got it. You do what you gonna do. But me, I love cheap. Anybody that know me know I love cheap. As long as I can style it a certain way, that's just how I operate. So
yeah, for real. For real, we need to stop thinking like that. That has been something that's been poisoned into our head that we have. Yeah, I got a Nike shirt, but this Nike shirt wasn't high. You know what I'm saying? I'm going, where's the discount rate? Because I ain't going nowhere. I really ain't going nowhere. I ain't doing nothing but it feel good just to throw something on. You know what I'm saying? Here and there. Yes, Mr. Antoinette, definitely. Salute everybody. Salute to the Rock Squad. Salute to TIARA's people. But I'm always down to promote, whether you're Black, white, I don't care what color you are. I really don't. When I speak on my melanated people, TIARA, I really just want to bring awareness to what's really going on with us and how we have been programmed all our life to hate each other when we've come from all that we've came from, the being enslaved for years. They hated us and they got us to hate each other, So, it's just time to go pay attention to stories from people like you and Shank Rock. The Dose of Awakening is amazing. Y'all have to go check that out. Go back and get de-rooted on what is really going on with the universal laws, self-care and shadow work. Miss TIARA talks about that. So I dropped her links in the chat. If I can get a moderator to drop the TIARA LATRESE show link again, that would be amazing. But definitely go follow her and check out the Dose of Awakening. When you switch channels, because I know Shank is ready to go live, he got a great interview set up.
Yeah.
But when you go from the TIARA show to the Dose Awakening, are you two different people?
You're gonna get the same person. You're gonna get the same person. It's just that when I do like celebrity stuff, I might be a little bit more. It depends on what we're talking about. It might be a little bit more, excitement, depending on what it is. But when I do Dose of Awakening, it's very calm. Like I'm just very calm. I'm really in a place of what I like to call a centered place. So it's like I'm really allowing what I'm thinking about spiritually and mentally to just go forth. But just know that anything I do on any channel, there is no script. I usually don't have nothing written down. A lot of it is just coming straight off of my head. But Dose of Awakening is more calming. I will say that because it's coming from a place of me either praying or meditating on something, me really digging deep into the roots of myself to be able to talk about certain topics because I personally went through it. So it's more calm and it's more relatable in the person to person receiving it. Whereas on the TIARA LATRESE show, like we're going to have fun. We're going to be enlightened. You're going to learn something. But Dose of Awakening is like, it's my own personal therapy. It's my happy place, if that makes any sense to y'all.
Yeah, it does. Y'all make sure, everyone, please make sure to go follow the TIARA LATRESE show. She keeps you updated with the latest celebrity stories, such as Royce Reed from a year ago, basketball wife, child neglect. Look, I got you everywhere. But I just did my research on you. You also talk about R. Kelly, Chris Brown, Kodak Black, Kanye West, Christiana Rock, and so many more. And she really, again, keeps up with these stories. She just doesn't put them up there. She goes live and actually does commentary on these stories. So please go follow up with TIARA LATRESE. And also she dropped her email for anybody that wants this information. And she don't waste her time if you're really not serious, because she has better things she could be doing than just wasting time on somebody to say, I did that, oh, I hit her up, and get on their show and talk about it. Let's actually talk about it and be about it, because that's just what it is and what it ain't today. You know what I'm saying? And TIARA, thank you so much. She said we all need a happy place.
Yes, we do, Antoinette girl.
And the TIARA LATRESE show is one of those happy places to go to. Thank you so much, TIARA. I really had a great night. I want to give everybody time to go hit that link and subscribe to the TIARA LATRESE show, and also leave a comment for her outside the video. Let her know where you came from, so she can recognize you, and different things like that. And also let her know what you took from what she was talking about on her show and things like that. If you have a community walk, please share this sister out. She is amazing. I love her energy, and I know that we are going to see her in bigger places other than iHeartRadio. You have that spunk about you, and I love it, and I hope to follow in your footsteps and go just as far. And I love you to death, TIARA. Thank you so much for blessing me with your presence. And salute to the chat. And if you're in the bushes, thank you so much for tuning in to me and TIARA again. This was great energy. I loved it. She said, I already subscribed to your channel, TIARA. Y'all need to, before y'all go to Shanks, moderators, Miss Sylvia, Team Knowledge or Team Miss Parker, you have to pick a side before episode 3 drops. Y'all just put in a horrible place, and I understand it's not easy, but it is what it is. But again, thank you so much, TIARA.
You're so welcome. I love y'all. I love y'all. Peace and blessings to everybody. Thank you so much for having me, and to everyone that came over here today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but I thank you sincerely. And you're not going to follow in my footsteps. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put it forward that you even pave a path all your own. I don't want people ever think they got to follow in my footsteps, honey. You going to forge your own path, and you going to be great. That's what you going to do.
Thanks.
Okay.
She said she can't click the link. I'll leave it outside my video for you, Rockwell. I'll post it and paste it outside the comment section on this video. But again, TIARA, thank you so much for dropping those resources for us, because like I said, I know not just me, I know many other content creators inspired to be great and eventually even turn their channel around to be better and do better with their channel. And it takes us all time to figure out the direction. Like you said, how you had to struggle with the direction of your show from, okay, I can't talk about what I really want to talk about. Where do I go from here? And she told us, and it makes sense. And that's what we have to start doing with things. We have to start making things make sense and work with what makes sense to us. You know what I'm saying? If you have to really question it, it's probably not a good idea. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you
Absolutely.
know,
And just be, and please, y'all, I'm gonna give you this advisement, and I'm gonna go. I promise, I'm gonna go after this. Make sure that you protect your energy at all times. Surround yourself with people who are genuinely going to support you and you can pay it forward. You build a team of support and y'all do for each other. I promise you it will all make sense. You don't have to be a people pleaser. You are not your mistakes. You can do anything to map out your path to your destiny and make your journey worthwhile. So believe in yourself first and foremost, and everything else will take its course. Okay, that's it. I'm done. I promise.
all righty. And it didn't matter if you was or was not. I've enjoyed you. Miss Rockwell, Miss Sylvia Black just dropped Miss Tiara Latrice's link again, and also go outside on her community wall and you will get the Dose of Awakening podcast link there as well. So you guys please go show the sister some love, let her know where you're from, and then leave a comment and really replay the videos and watch because they're very interesting. Because I want to bring you back eventually when we get done with this Bishop Whitehead story that I also see you touching on. I'm interested. So I want to bring you back again just so we can, chop it
Yeah,
up. Not
girl.
really
Yes.
an interview,
Say less.
but
I'll be
chop
here.
it up.
I'll be here for that one.
Let's go. So if anybody is into the Bishop Whitehead story, also go check out the Tiara Latrice show and check out her lives in this great commentary again. Thank you, Latrice. I'm gonna get up out of here. I've had a great time with you. This has been very entertaining and enjoyable. And again, salute to the chat, my mods as always. Shank Rock will be going live here in a second, so he has a great interview set up. Matter of fact, if you all don't mind pulling up over there, hitting that like button for me, even if you can't stay, just hit that like button, show on your community wall. But last but not least, don't get to hit up that email for the Tiara Latrice and get that information to get your podcast taken to something that could, possibly change your life forever. You know what I'm saying? But we have to put in that work to make it change our lives forever. But she is sending us in the right direction, and that's our problem. We always want somebody to send us somewhere, but in the direction they want us to go in, not the direction we need to go in. So be mindful of that as well. Tiara, you have a blessed Wednesday, and thank you again so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Miss Parker. We'll be back at this again. Okay, I love you dearly.
Thank you so much, and everybody have a great Wednesday. Thank you, Tiara. Love. Good night.
Good night.